Welcome to Land Academy. I'm Jack Butala.
I'm Jill DeWit.
We show you how to buy real estate for half of what it's worth.
And sell it on the internet really fast.
We are Jack and Jill,
and this is the Jack and Jill Show too.
With over 15,000 completed transactions, we're the experts at acquiring property.
Of all kinds, not just land.
For half price and flipping them for way more.
All right, let's get this show started.
Jack Butala with Jill DeWit.
Happy Friday.
Yeah.
First Friday in 2017. Woohoo.
Yeah.
Did you make it through your first week?
I have to say.
Are you suffering?
That was a long holiday season. I love being back to work now.
What?
In this episode, Jill's going to get me for that in a minute.
I know.
In this episode, Jill and I talk about the worst real estate investments possible. We've all been there, and maybe you're there right now. Let's take a look. But first, let's take a question posted by one of our members on the landacademy.com online community. It's free.
Cool. Luke, I'm not sure which one in our group said, because it's such a good question, it could be either one of them. They're both smart. How do I create easements?
Oh,
Can
this
I
is a great
just
question.
write up my own easement on the deeds? I kind of like this. To give access to a back lot across the front lot, of which I own both.
Yeah, put whatever you want in that deed.
I think that's kind of cool. I like that.
I really don't like my fourth child. Can I just reprogram his brain how I want?
It's good. I like that.
No, you can't just put an easement on a deed. In 1952, you might have been able to do that.
Right.
But no, you have to file for easements with the county. I mean, maybe there's a county out there that still allows you to do that. You know, there are counties that certainly allow you, that are agricultural based. They allow you to split off property. Mm-hmm. If you're deeding it to a family member, or they allow you to split off property only to certain numbers. But for easements, now you have to file a whole plan. Here's a takeaway, Luke. And you're right, both of these guys. This is PhD level stuff. Mm-hmm. An easement, for the record, is a right of way across someone else's property, an adjacent property to the property that you own, so you can get there, so you can get to your own property. So you have to file a bunch of stuff, and you have to. The best way to do it is to get ownership consent from that property. I should say that all the statutes, or nearly all of them, say that I've ever seen say, if you own property, you can't reasonably withhold access to another person's property. So, you know, you can ram it down the owner's throat, or you can just call them and say, I'd really like to put a road in or put a platted easement in here. If you see dotted lines on a plat map, that's usually the easement. A solid line is the property line. So, no, you can't just write your own easements in. And 9 times out of 10, the easements aren't written in the deed anyway. I mean, you might see them sometimes in the old school ones, mm-hmm. where they're talking about minutes and degrees and things like that. But in general, the easement it's separate. Mm-hmm. It's separate from the deed. This is it's real hard to answer this without visuals, and every county's different.
It's true. I think I know where he's. You know where I think I know where he's getting it, because some of the people that I buy property from and we buy property from, they've owned it for so long, they do have it written in the legal description.
Yeah, I know.
So, and it has to be a certain wording and stuff.
Fence 1 minute east,
right.
14 degrees west, yeah.
Stuff like that. And or even it'll say except this easterly portion.
Exactly.
And with that special description. So I'm sure Luke was going, well, shoot, if I just word it this right way, right? Is there a certain way I have to word it? And I can just kind of add it in there,
yeah.
Which makes sense. I would think that too, but there's more to it.
Yeah. So, I mean, you never want to record a piece of property with an altered legal description ever.
Right.
So first of all, let's take a couple steps back.
That's a very good point.
The legal description that is on the grantor document needs to be verbatim, and I mean every dot and every T crossed properly, verbatim on the next deed. As
crazy as it might sound, leave it.
So the answer is a categorical no. That is not the place to alter an easement.
Right.
So the first place you start with stuff like that is calling the either planning and zoning, or would be planning and zoning. Mm-hmm. I just learned for the first time ever that planning and zoning are sometimes 2 different departments.
Oh, that's right.
I learned that in Santa Barbara.
When you went to go look for planning and zoning, they said, well, planning's over there and zoning's over there.
Like,
what? That's what I think. It's funny. I thought that too. I always thought they were like, it's the same guy and he just hangs up the,
Well, usually it's one person.
Yeah, exactly. One phone.
Oh, you mean Mike? Yeah, here's Mike's number.
Exactly. Mike in planning and zoning, not Mike in planning and Bob in zoning.
Or Mike is planning and zoning.
Exactly.
And he's playing golf today.
There you go. Exactly. That is really funny that you bring that up. And they have different hours than other people too, which is funny.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, if you have a question or you want to get on the show, please reach out to either one of us on landacademy.com. Today's topic, and I'm going to get in trouble for saying it, what's the worst real estate investment possible? Jill hates it when I put words like worst and awful and failure and hate.
It's okay. It's hate. That's the one.
In the title, right in the title. I did it for you.
The worst is good because we're helping people. It's the hate. I'm like, I just cringe at that word.
Sunshine and rainbows with this one.
Thank you. And unicorns. Just kidding.
And parades.
And parades.
So what's, Jill, I wrote this title because as a response to a lot of questions that I'm getting. And because I did it. The first real estate deal that I ever did was a house deal. And it was the worst real estate deal I ever did because I just had no education at all.
Right.
I looked at it like it was a house I was buying, I would buy personally to live in, a personal primary residence. And I see a lot of people doing it. I see a lot of people on Bigger Pockets. They go through the whole thing. I'll describe it in a second. And then they go back out on Bigger Pockets and they say, there's no way you can succeed as a real estate investor successfully. This is a mess. You're set up to fail. And I couldn't agree with that comment more. And here's what you'd never want to do. Get a real estate agent. Wake up in the morning and say, you know what? I don't like my job too much. I'm going to be a real estate investor. My parents, they made $500,000 on their house. And if I just do that 10 times, $5 million. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go. So they get a real estate agent. Maybe it's their buddy. And they look through the MLS, the multiple listing service, and they pick out a property. Or they go driving for dollars and they find a property that's fallen down. And something like that. This is what I see all the time. This is absolutely, by the way, what not to do. And so they buy it, or they negotiate a great deal. They get $10,000 off or something like that. They buy it and they get in there, try to clean it up. They go get a loan. All right. And the conventional wisdom is try to put as least amount of money down as possible. So your monthly payment is, hey, if you get your monthly payment's only going to be $25 more if you get X amount down. I've heard it a million times. So now you got a loan. You've obviously signed personally on that. A lot of risk, right? Yesterday's show or 2 days ago was no risk.
Right.
We spent decades putting together a risk-free real estate situation. There's not more risk. This is what I'm describing as the most risky. Mm-hmm. Now you've got a lender involved. You've got a real estate agent involved. They're getting paid. You've got an escrow agent involved. They're getting paid. You've got an inspector involved who's really working for the lender. They're getting paid. Mm-hmm. And on and on and on. And everybody's made a bunch of money except you. And so you're standing there with the keys in your hand looking at an untenantable house that you think you're going to rent out or flip or whatever. And it doesn't work. Right. And you get in there and you find out there's mold and all kinds of stuff. So that is how you try to buy a primary residence, as an investor. And it's just absolutely the worst real estate investment you can possibly make. You want to remove all those risk characteristics for yourself and flip a property as fast as possible. That's why we're here. Mm-hmm. We spent a career doing that, and we're sharing it with everybody.
Exactly.
What do you see, Jill?
I was looking at it from our world and our people, and I see people, usually it's before they got to us, and they rushed in, they bought an asset, whether it's a property or whatever, because they were told it was a good deal. Sometimes they were told it's a good deal, and that was enough for them. I'm like, what the heck? Or they assumed it was a good deal.
I've seen that too.
They didn't know, and they didn't do all the right work. And so they either bought something that really wasn't a good asset or they overpaid, because often you can fix it. If you buy it right, you can still fix it. You can still make some money.
Like a marriage.
What? If you buy it right, I can still
fix it.
Like
I can
a marriage.
Still fix it.
Oh, that's where you're going with that.
If I just get deeper,
I'm like,
deeper inside.
Buy it right.
If I get deeper inside of him, I can fix him.
Wow. scary. Oh my gosh, that's so scary. I'm sure people say that. It's work. He was workable. I had something to work. Whatever. It's awful. So that's another bad investment. Anyway.
Exactly.
But they rushed in and then they overpaid, and that's the times that I see people getting in trouble. And really when you rush in, it's not like you did the deal too fast. It's like you didn't really have everything lined up. You don't, and it's just because of experience.
That's all.
And if you don't have the experience, you don't necessarily have to have the experience, but as long as you have someone there with you who does have the experience and you're learning from somebody, or you have the education and you've been, watching this for 6 months on the sidelines, now you're ready to go. You watch people making their own mistakes, which, by the way, is one of the things I love about our online community, Jack. And it really is. I watch a lot of people. I talk to a lot of people that have been watching and following. And by the time they get to me and they're ready to join Land Academy, they're like, okay, I've been following this member and that member and this member and that member.
Specific people?
Mm-hmm. And they see their questions and they're
That's cool.
paying attention to their transactions. And they're like, oh, okay, I can do it.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah.
Like, who do they follow? Do you have any names?
So, David. David's a good one. Mm-hmm. David's a really good inspirational one, David. Thank you, David. Yeah. We have a lot of good members on the one.
Yeah.
I could sit and list a lot of names.
When I was starting out, I wanted it to work so bad that I would start to see things that weren't there. Too optimistic. Mm-hmm. Like I would look at a deal and say, I can get over that. Or I can get over that because I hate my job so much.
Oh.
Or I hate where my career is going so much that you start to see, and I want to be an investor so bad.
That's
that I was starting to see, like I bought a couple of laundromats one time. Mm-hmm. And in the end, it worked out great. The sale of it, I made some money. I mean, back then it was a lot of money, but now it's like the average house for the house that we flip. But the house that we wholesale. But that was back in the day where you're looking at a deal going, I want this to work so bad, and I don't have any time. It's Sunday. I got to go back to work, and so I see
I'm
that.
going to make it work.
Yeah.
That's not the right thing. Move on.
Yeah,
that's a good.
That was
point.
Unresearched, and back then too, it was a lot harder to research stuff. Mm-hmm. You have all the answers to all the questions on the planet in your pocket right now on your phone. Mm-hmm. This was back in a different time where you just really relied on. You know what? You brought up a great point. You listened to somebody, and they were wrong.
Right.
I thought, you know what? You're right. Maybe you have a bad boss. Right. I had a really bad boss in commercial real estate in Michigan. He was just full of crap and really screaming at us all the time. And, when you're young and impressionable like that, it's not good.
Yep.
Basically, it was just teaching us to lie, like that whole car dealer mentality.
Right.
Stick him.
Yeah.
Stick him as good as you can.
I've had that.
It's terrible.
I have had bosses like that. Hit your numbers. It's more about hitting your numbers. It doesn't matter if it's the right people or if it's the right fit or whatever. And that sends me, it makes me so angry.
So, to carry along the point here, the biggest mistake you can make in a real estate deal, and I'm not talking about commercial at all. I'm talking about if you're new and you're independent and you're just getting started, getting a loan. Can you think of anything worse than that?
Nope.
It starts the clock. Now you got all this pressure. It starts the path of bad decision making.
Even before that, I talk to people and I tell them, if now's not the right time, do not join Land Academy until you have enough money to do a mailer and,
like $5,000.
Exactly.
Right? Everybody's asking themselves, how much does it really take?
Right. If you have $5,000, you're in good shape.
3,000 to 8,000. But I think five, you can really start doubling your money fast.
Don't think you're going to come into this and just to have the education part and be able to pay for the data and then that's all you need. Right. No, you got to spend money on a mailer, and then when the mailers come back, you want to buy the asset. You need to be able to buy the assets. Like Jack said, you don't want to borrow the money. You don't want to tie them up in options deals and stuff. That gets, for some, yes, but not all. You want to do this right. And I tell people all the time, so what? Wait 6 months, save up, do it right.
Any decision that you make that's putting pressure or you think that might cause you to do bad deals, that's the problem. Like here's a short list.
Like a wife?
Yeah. That can be problematic. A spouse can be problematic, but the biggest one I see is, number one, you quit your job way too early. And it's like, well, heck, I got to make X amount next month.
Right.
That's now you're going to make bad acquisition decisions.
True.
A loan. I got this loan. I got to make the payment next month.
Yeah, I
got
gotta
to get this thing rented.
It.
I got to sell it. I have to
Yeah.
get it rented. I have to, that's
Bad.
You're making bad acquisition decisions. Take the pressure off of yourself.
Right.
Buy some of these assets that, like in our asset, the land assets that we buy are typically $1,000, $3,000. The real good ones are $3,000.
Right.
Sell it for 6 or 8. Double your money. Make a bunch of mistakes. Plan on making mistakes.
Right.
Maybe
it might take you a month. Might take you 3 months because you didn't know how to market it properly.
Exactly.
Big deal. You owned it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then there's no pressure.
Mm-hmm.
You're still getting your bills paid because you have your job.
It's your day job.
Your spouse is still happy because, tell your spouse about it after you're successful, not before.
Oh.
What's that saying you say, Jill?
Oh, my God. It's better to ask for forgiveness and permission.
Which Jill does on a weekly basis with me.
Hold on. Do not do this. Please do not. This is a big deal. Sweetheart, why is our savings gone? We don't want to have those conversations. I do not want those people calling me. You told my husband. No.
Oh, man. Does that really happen?
I'm sure.
No, I mean, do they call you saying that?
Oh, no. No. But I would like, it could. Yeah, this guy Jack told my husband. Oh, no. No, just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to put yourself you want to put yourself in a position to succeed, right? You want to get the right education. You don't want to have a lot of time pressure or money pressure or any of that stuff. Jill regularly says to people, I've heard her talk about it on the show, now is not the time for you to do this. I know you want to have it happen fast, but you need to save some money. Really, really, there's a ton of things you can do before you actually invest. Mm-hmm. That's free. There's this all over the internet. There's people that have a lot of experience that are just sharing their experience. Mm-hmm. And read as much as you can and
spend a month in our online community. Read it all.
There's
See
a ton
all the stuff.
If you live in a larger area, there's a ton of free real estate investment groups go to Meetup. Meetup.com. There's a ton of most of them are bad, some of them are good. Just like everything in life, you got to choose the ones that are good for you.
I always walk away with something. That was a good tip though. Going to those, a lot of them, they are still saying drive for dollars and some weird off things. However, I always take away something. I think, especially for somebody new, you'll learn a little something. Even if it's, well, I'm not going to do that.
Or I'll never invest with that guy.
Exactly. That's usually what I take away.
Yeah, that's exactly, what I take away almost always now from these things is, man, I don't want to come off like that.
Yeah. Or Jack and I are often like, this is why we're successful. And they're not getting it. They still don't get it.
Jill and I go to some pretty high-end groups in Los Angeles. And they do not, I'm telling you right now,
just don't
the average Land Academy member, if they converted what they know to commercial real estate with the right financial backing, would do way better than these guys do. These long-term career pros.
Bingo.
They talk about seeing something that's not there. These people are delusional.
You're right.
I mean it. I'm not blowing smoke.
You're right.
It's hilarious what they think is good and not good.
It's brilliant.
You know what I think? A lot of people think that if it's only valuable if there's a lot of work.
True.
Remember, you used to say that all the time. We should bring that back.
Yeah, you don't get a trophy for working 50 hours a week. That's not the goal here.
If it's super hard, well, you had a saying for a while. I haven't heard you say it in a while. If it's really, really, really hard, you're probably not supposed to do it.
Oh, that's right. I used to say if it comes easy to you, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Go with it. That means it's meant to be.
If you cringe at the word data and spreadsheets and analysis and data scrubbing, this is not for you.
Exactly.
If
you don't like talking on the phone.
Yeah.
You don't want to work with customers. You don't want to work with the county, and line up a notary, any of that stuff, then that's okay.
That's right.
This is not for you.
Awesome. So don't get stuck or put yourself in a position where you're doing a really bad real estate deal just because you want to get out of the situation you're in or pay off a loan or any of that stuff. Join us in another episode where Jack and Jill discuss how to use information, that's me,
and inspiration, that's me,
to get just about anything you want.
We use it every day to buy property for half of what it's worth and sell it immediately.
Do good real estate deals. Good show, Jill. Good week.
Mm-hmm. It was a great week. We're off to a good start, I think. Our people are so excited.
Off to a good,
year
start. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm real excited about. 2017 from a land acquisition and sales standpoint is probably going to be about the same as 16 for us, maybe a little better. I'm super excited what's going to happen with Land Academy and what's happening.
I am too.
In offers to owners and land pin and the whole thing.
What do you think about the economy? I know people ask you that.
Somebody just asked me that.
Uh-huh.
Like the real estate economy. So you can almost set your calendar by a 12 to 14 year cycle in real estate. Right. And when I say that, I mean mostly residential. With land, cheap land, and data specifically, it never changes. Sales might slow, but there's always people out there who would love to buy land for half of what it's worth. In the acquisition possibilities, I'm still seeing from the last downturn, the acquisitions opportunities it hasn't waned. Mm-hmm. So about the economy, I don't think anything's going to crash now.
Right.
It's never going to crash. In our lifetime, it's not going to have what happened last time. Right. If you're really young, what happened last time was the second worst real estate disaster in the history of this country, and that's not going to happen. I knock on wood. That we'll see a downturn, we'll see a GDP decrease, and some other things, and we'll see a slight growth in new homes and all that. But we're never going to see just a massive disaster in this lifetime.
Too bad we can't do a limit up, limit down on real estate. You know what I'm talking about?
I bet you could with REITs and stuff. I bet you could.
But would it save everybody?
Yeah. Oh, you mean like a stop
like stock
trading?
Market?
Yeah, stop trading.
That's it. Limit up, limit down. It's closed. Yeah.
That's a topic for a whole different show. Not even just a different episode, but real estate is subject.
It's funny, I know that stuff.
Bond ratings are, that's a subject for a different show.
What's funny because that's not what we invest in, but yet I know what that is.
Yeah. Information and inspiration to buy undervalued property.
We are Jack and Jill, and this was the
Cash Flow from Land Show. We are the experts at acquiring property
of all kinds, not just land,
for half price, just so we can flip it for way more.
And really fast. Thanks for listening. You are not alone in your real estate ambition.